there are so many people who are just comfortable living in the current landscape. You know, some of them probably still think we are a post-racial society that we were told when we were kids, or some of them was like, no, it's, you know, some of them may truly believe that there's a racial hierarchy and that, you know, the Aryans are superior for whatever reason. And they just haven't been in a position to change their perspective. And the people who are honestly comfortable about it, they have no real incentive to. They're comfortable, they're happy, they're fine. They don't need to worry about it. And that's why I look at it as like it's a low bar, because I actually thought about it. And honestly, I could say it would be entirely possible that I could have never thought about it.
Exactly.
Like,
That's
if
so
I
glad you said
didn't
that.
have friends who were, you know, black or gay or trans or whatever, I could very easily see myself just not being part of that conversation, not seeing or knowing what they're going through and having to deal with on a daily basis. It's very easy to not do that. I can see a lot of people just be like, yeah, it's fine, it doesn't affect me. And they don't have anyone in their life that they care about that it does affect. Like, I had family who were anti-trans until other family members came out as trans. And it's like, oh, maybe they should shut up a little bit. And you know, in those instances they did, because when it was a nebulous concept, it was easy for them to just be like, no, you know, trans people are terrible, trans people are bad. Until someone they cared about was trans, and it's like, oh, that rhetoric hurts them. And I can easily see that as the same for race. Someone who doesn't have any friends who are of color or of any minority. I know so many people who have grown up in very racially homogenous zones, and they just never think about it because they've never had a friend who experienced racism. So they're fine throwing out, you know, a casual racist joke because it doesn't hurt them, it doesn't affect them. So no, I can very easily see it. Like you said, it's like, from my perspective, like I looked at it a certain way, but you're like, no, try looking at it a slightly different way. But at the same time, I could say it's very easy to have just not looked at it at all.
Yeah, and that's why we have so many people walking around without knowledge. You know, I want to stick on one of the early questions you asked when you were talking just now, which is, where can it happen that people are able to make the choice of anti-racism as a value, right? Where? There is literally no formalized place where that choice can happen. Most people are not going to get it in their homes, you know? Most people are not going to get it at school. Most people are not going to get it at their jobs. Where are they going to get it?
If we have it at like City Hall, no one goes to City Hall. Like it's like,
right. I mean, like you just there's
you missed the flyer. Be here at this time to take on this value.
Right. I mean, like you've got to have a place to have it happen. If you take away the place where something can occur, right? If I never create the condition for a chemical reaction to occur, will that reaction occur? It never will. It is an absolute bar to it happening. That's what they've done. That's what a system of racial hierarchy has created here. It's created a situation where the opportunity to give people a chance to choose something else has been taken away. And most people have given it up willingly because they're scared of what it means if they don't give it up. Ironically, it's people being fearful of their own freedom from racial hierarchy. Because
I'll also say there is also an interesting, again, a meme. I communicate in memes, but that's because I live on YouTube. So, you know, there's a post that goes around. It's like the same people who threw rocks at, you know, kids going to the first day of integrated schools are now upset that their grandchildren will learn that they threw rocks and I think that's another big component of it. It's like people who were, and that's like you said, we have these things in it that have been placed, these systems that, like critical race theory in the last few years has been a huge hot topic. Like schools that were trying to teach, hey, yeah, the America's history is not as pleasant as you learned in elementary school, middle school, and high school. When you get to college, you're going to learn there's a lot of unsavory business. And people are like, oh, no, we don't want you to teach that, because so many of the people who are in power at this point are old enough to be like, no, I was one of those people throwing rocks, and I don't want anyone to know that's like, at least some of them. But there's also a lot of people who are like, no, I was totally racist, and now I don't want anyone to know that, so I don't want anyone to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, it'll go away. Like you said, like if you know, it's that, you know, you have to ignore it, and there's a whole side of a generation that's like, oh no, we totally weren't racist. You very much were, and now you're trying to whitewash your own history. And you don't want your kids or grandkids or what to learn that it was bad, and we're not that far removed from it. We're really not that far removed from, you know, segregation. Like I know people who worked in schools post-segregation. Like their whole job was to talk to members of communities to be like, we're now desegregating schools. You gotta work with us on this. And like that was their whole thing. And like those are people who, you know, are still alive. There's people who, like, that's not that far removed. Like that's 2 generations back. And that's just the most recent major event. Like we're a country that's what, 300 years old? And the entirety of that has been very racially biased.
Yeah.
Like we are, like, even if you want to believe that we are a post-racial society, if you want to hold on to that belief and that illusion, how old is that illusion? It has to have been, you know, what, 50 years max? How many people are still alive that are older than that would have been like, yeah, I lived in a pre-racial society. I remember people, you know, turning hoses on me and sicking dogs on me just for the color of my skin. It's like, it's not, and a lot of people look at it as like, oh, it's black and white photographs. It's ancient. It's ancient history. It's not. It's not as far back as you want to try to make it out to be.
Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour-long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support, and see you next time.